She's a K-pop star full-time and an ice-based superhero on the side. We're talking about Luna Snow. Hi, I'm Nando, and in this series, I take a character from Marvel Comics. I talk about their history, their power set, their personality, and I give you some reading recommendations. And this week, we're talking about a character you probably have not heard of before, but have seen around recently, Luna Snow. Luna Snow is one of those weird comic book characters who, it turns out, did not actually first appear in a comic book. Luna debuted in the 2018 video game Marvel Future Fight. Her name, Sol-hee, means snow and hope in Korean, and her backstory I think has a pretty compelling start. She lost her parents at a young age, was raised by her grandmother, and to support her family she became a Korean pop idol. So she joined one of those special academies and they formed the K-pop group 4L1T. Unfortunately, during their debut show at a Stark Arena, an AIM cell took the show hostage and specifically captured the 4 members of the group and put them into an experimental cold fusion reactor that was powering the arena. This incident gave Luna cryokinetic abilities, which she then used to defeat the AIM agents and become a superhero. And this is all covered in what I would say is the first important issue for Luna Snow, Future Fight Firsts, Luna Snow, Volume 1, Issue 1. It was written by Alyssa Wong with art by Gang Hyuk Lim and Josephino. Since then, Luna Snow has had a relatively short career. I mean, that comic that I just mentioned came out in 2019 and she was introduced in 2018, and she's been on a couple of teams. The first actual comic that Luna was involved in, because that issue that I just mentioned came out later, but she was introduced in War of the Realms New Agents of Atlas Volume 1, Issue 1. So let's say this is reading recommendation number 2. It's written by Greg Pak with art by Gang Hyuk Lim, Federico Blee, and Clayton Cowles. And this story is during the War of the Realms event, which we covered a lot last month because it was run by Malachi and involved Cinder, Surtur's daughter. The Cinder part of that story actually takes place in this book. The fire demons from Muspelheim, led by Cinder, attack South Korea. Luna was part of a group of what at the time appeared to be 4 heroes called the Elementals, which some of them you should be pretty familiar with if you've played Marvel Snap. There was Luna Snow, who represented ice, Wave, who represented water, Arrow, who represented air, and then Pele, the Polynesian fire god. Although spoilers for this War of the Realms book, that wasn't actually Pele, that was a robot that Jimmy Woo, who was leading this group, had put in place to give everybody confidence and also give totally awesome Hulk, aka Braun at this point, Amadeus Cho, like some leadership credentials because he didn't believe in himself, so he needed somebody to be like, this kid's all right. And it turned out it was a robot sent by his boss, pretending to be a god. But those other 3, Luna Snow, Arrow, and Wave, would go on to be like a team of 3 friends. Luna Snow, I would say, has the most FaceTime out of all of that group, even though, and this might be a hot take, I think Wave has the most interesting personality out of that group. Luna Snow does have fun powers. She has ice powers, but it's not just ice powers. She has healing ice and damage ice. So the light ice heals and the dark ice is for like fighting and destruction. And Luna Snow ends up joining up with this new Agents of Atlas team assembled by Jimmy Woo, led by Amadeus Cho. And this team is a bunch of different characters from all over Asia. You've got Swordmaster, you've got Silk, Shang-Chi is involved, Silver Fox, Io and Crescent, 2 other original characters for the Future Fight game, Arrow, Wave, and Luna. I'm probably forgetting one. I think that's most of them. And they would go on to be Agents of Atlas. Now, in case anybody's confused, Atlas is a team that existed before, and the other version of Agents of Atlas will meet these guys because it's like the young, rebooted Agents of Atlas. It used to be a very old-timey team of like Nomura, a robot, a Brainiac-looking guy. They're treated like this other super team that no one really knew about, but has been operating, and like Jimmy Woo has been directing them for a while. Eventually, they're going to come to conflict with the Agents of Atlas. The biggest story that Luna Snow is a part of easily is the one about the portal city of Pan. And this takes place in the actual Agents of Atlas comic. So I'm going to say Agents of Atlas Volume 3 Issue 2 will be my 3rd reading recommendation. And honestly, you could pick any issue from this series or the Atlantis Attack series that follows it that is might as well be just like more of its Agents of Atlas series. I picked the one where she kisses Amadeus Cho, partially because I remember that when I looked at the cover, and also partially because as this book gets further into the plot, it becomes less about about Luna, but in the beginning there's this kind of interesting love triangle between Luna, Amadeus Cho, and this character named the Protector who shows up and he's like, I'm the protector of Pan. Pan, by the way, it's a city made out of portals that all connect a bunch of Asian cities into this little hub world like Epcot Center where you can just go through the portal and go to the next one, but it's run with a pass and you have to pay lots of money for your Pan pass, and also it's run by a very weird bro-y tech CEO who's probably got some secrets and is constantly like, Agents of Atlas, don't you want to help me? And they're like, no, and he's like, too bad, I already said you're gonna help me, so you might as well. Personally, I think this comic is fun and I like this team dynamic. I think Amadeus Cho reads really well here. I think Silk also plays really well here. Luna's okay, but again, I think Wave is more interesting. But I do think, and this is like a little bit of a tangent, the whole idea of the city of Pan and this conflict seems so forced. And stick with me. The city of Pan is created by an evil tech billionaire guy. And it's not really, he's not doing it in like an evil way. He's just doing it in like, I want to make lots of money, which is kind of evil, but like, he's not doing it to like control the world and power up his death ray. He's just making this because he knows if he makes it, it'll make him lots of money. Turns out he's got a dragon that is his slave that he's using to do this. And Namor gets angry because it's like a dragon that he should have, or I can't remember if he's supposed to have the dragon or he's supposed to kill it. I can't remember, but like this guy's not supposed to have the dragon. The reason the superheroes, who are pretty central in this whole story, they're not like on the periphery, they are turning into like the representatives for Pan. The reason that they don't just go to this guy's house and free the dragon is because the city of Pan becomes the actual like home of some Madriporean refugees who the Agents of Atlas feel responsibility for, which I think makes sense. But there's points in the story where all the characters like, this dragon thingy is going to kill everybody, it's going to destroy the world. Obviously, what this guy, the CEO's doing is bad. We should do something about it. We should shut this down. But if we do, what are we gonna do with these refugees? And it's like, I don't know, just get some, like, it's not like, it's 10 people. Just put them somewhere, put them in America, and then we're good. Like, this is not a humongous problem. Like, I understand that relocating the refugees is important, but the fact that it is putting all of these people in all of these cities in so much danger feels like a very solvable problem, especially when, you know, at different points in history, different Avengers have been presidents, and like, I don't think 2019 was a particularly hostile year for superheroes. Like, this wasn't right in the middle of another superhero registration act. I feel like Jimmy Woo, especially Jimmy Woo, because he built himself up as this like, James Bond, a master manipulator behind the scenes, he could get some government to take these Madriporean refugees in, and they would be fine. And maybe there's more of them than we see, but we do see a boat of them come in and like get attacked by a big sea monster. It seems like those are the only ones, but you know, maybe there were more. I don't know. It feels kind of dumb. Having read the whole book and like more or less enjoying it, especially the Atlantis stuff, because I do like the way Namor interacts with these kids, and I do like how it forces Amadeus Cho to become a leader. I think by the end of this book, he is a more interesting character, but I just think the central conflict of this book is so dumb. Anyway, eventually they save the world. Luna Snow is going to go on and join a team called Tiger Division. This is the other main team that Luna's been on for a while. This is led by White Fox. It is a team. I'm not familiar with any of these characters outside of this story. This is an interesting team because it is another take on a regional Avengers made up of kind of an Avengers-like team with like a really strong guy who's kind of a Superman and a robot and a god. I think this team honestly kind of works. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. I will say it isn't really a Luna Snow book. If anything, it's a Taguchi book, who is another pretty new character, and he is like the South Korean Superman. The story's about him uncovering his past and stuff like that. So like Luna Snow is on this team, but she doesn't do anything all that interesting. Just because I think it's kind of fun, I want to go through the other members of the team. You've got Taguchi, again, Korean Superman, White Fox, Spy, she's the leader, she's the Nick Fury of this team. She can also turn into a fox and has foxy superpowers. There's a character named Auntie, like your parents' sister, but then Auntie like cards, and she is a witch who uses cards as her gimmick. She's fun. Then you've got Mr. Enigma, who is this team's Thor, and he's like a demigod who loves to get drunk. and is sort of a mess. I think this is fun. Then there's Gur R2, who is a robot. I'm really not sure what this guy's deal is besides being a robot. And then you've got the General, who is a living totem. I would say this character kind of skews closer to how like the Vision or Groot is usually portrayed in a book like this, where he's like that strong, silent, protectory type. And then you've got Luna Snow, the pop star who has ice powers. So like, I don't know, Tiger Division hasn't really taken off, although to be fair, like these comics are relatively new. I think, pretty sure almost all these guys were introduced in a Black Cat comic like 3 years ago, so there's plenty of time for them. But I don't know, compared to Agents of Atlas, where a lot of the characters like Shang-Chi and Swordmaster, who didn't really have the spotlight, did feel like they faded into the background, I do think the makeup of this team gives them all something to do. I don't know, I like this book. I wouldn't say it's a reading recommendation though, because Luna Snow doesn't do very much in it. The other thing that's fun about Luna Snow, so she is a pop star. I'm sure you've kind of made the connection, kind of like Dazzler, who's the other like in-universe Marvel pop star. Like Dazzler, sometimes they do this. I think they've done this with Dazzler. They've made actual Luna Snow songs. So there are 5 actual Luna Snow songs you can listen to right now. I think the problem with Luna Snow is she's written pretty broadly. She doesn't really have too many problems or like an edge. She's just kind of nice and has a superpower that's helpful. Like, I guess I'm not surprised that this character has not taken off. They've given her so many chances. She's coming to Marvel Snap, she's coming to Marvel Rivals, so maybe they'll put her in a new book and give her more of like an identity that makes her a character that sticks around. But I think there's an appetite for this character. In my opinion, she just hasn't had like a great book yet. When it comes to friends, she has quite a few because she has been on the Agents of Atlas and Tiger Division. She's worked with both Agents of Atlas. I would say like Amadeus Cho, Silk, those are the 2 members of Agents of Atlas that she spends the most time with outside of the other elementals, Arrow and Wave. You know, I don't know if she's ever done like a concert with Dazzler or Lila Cheney or any of the other musicians. That could be fun. I feel like there's space for something like that to happen in Marvel. So we're talking about Luna this week because she is in 2 Marvel games. She's just being added into the collectible card game Marvel Snap, and she's part of the starting roster of the hero shooter Marvel Rivals. So let's talk about Marvel Snap first. In Marvel Snap, Luna is a 3-cost, 5-power with the on-reveal effect. Add an ice cube to each side of this location. You all know what that means. You know what an ice cube is. I don't have to explain that. I'm just kidding. So an ice cube at the start of your turn, +1 energy, then destroy this if your side is full here. So this goes to both sides, which means both you and your opponent get extra energy each turn as long as you don't fill up that location. So I think this goes to the healing and destructive parts of Luna's ice. She can do things that are good for your team. She can heal you, but also it comes with a cost of taking up space. I don't think she synergizes particularly well with any of her Agents of Atlas friends. Definitely not Shang-Chi or Swordmaster, not Arrow. Silk, maybe. Silk would actually be trouble for Luna, because Silk could accidentally fill up this space. I think the characters she's gonna be a real problem with are all the characters that put something on your side of the field. So characters like the Hood into Viper combo, or Green Goblin, or White Widow. Because if you can neutralize the advantage the Ice Cube gives your opponent, then that's tough for them. I do think there's something to, I don't know if you could do this, like a bounce deck where you take the ice cube back. I don't know, I mean, the character, it will work really well with his armor, because if you armor the ice cube on your side, then it doesn't matter if you fill up the location, you're still getting an extra +1 power every turn. And this starts on turn 3, so this can make a big difference. And like we always do, a couple of variants. There is the Ryan Kennard, Eduardo Mello base art, which is good. And then the NetEase Marvel Rivals variant, which is going to be in the Spotlight Cache. Cool looking. And then one I'm not super familiar with by an artist, Crees, Crees. And they have a super rare variant that I actually like, especially because it's her at a concert, so that's fun. That's something that the other variants don't really have as much of. You know what's interesting actually in Marvel Snap? She's kind of the opposite of Dazzler. Dazzler wants you to fill every space. Luna Snow makes that almost impossible, unless you can't get the benefit of both of their cards unless you really think about it. And I think that's interesting. In Marvel Rivals, Luna's lore section reads like this. Luna Snow is more than just another K-pop superstar. She's also a symbol of hope for her entire generation. Using her ice powers to keep tensions across the world cool, Luna has become a musical diplomat ready to face any conflict that may arise. Tragedy nearly struck during Luna Snow's summer concert, where a wounded Atlantean creature caused a devastating tsunami. Luna's ice held back the rushing tide and helped to heal the beast's injuries. She single-handedly saved countless lives and prevented the situation from escalating into a full-scale conflict between South Korea and the world beneath the waves. And this is something that happens in the Pan book where she does protect everybody from a big tsunami. I don't think this happens during one of her concerts, but I guess they're kind of mixing the lore together. From a gameplay perspective, I do like how they implemented her. She has her ice powers, but she also has abilities that connect to the K-pop origins. She has team-up moves that work well with Jeff and Namor, both the aquatic characters. She's arguably one of the best heroes in the game, with the ability to deal a large amount of damage to enemies and heal allies. She's kind of like Lucio, which makes sense. Lucio, another musical character in Overwatch. And her shared the stage ability lets her concentrate healing on a specific target, so that makes her kind of like Mercy. It's a good support character. One other thing, in Rivals, Luna Snow has a new costume. This is the Shining Star costume. It's just revealed. I don't think this has any lore connection. It's just kind of a cool looking costume for her, which makes sense. She's a pop star. She'd have a lot of outfits. But yeah, that's Luna Snow. She is a character that is relatively new. Marvel made a big push for and has benefited a lot from all of these games. One other thing that's interesting, I guess she's kind of like the opposite of Iceman. Iceman makes it so your opponents cannot play a card, like freezes a card. She freezes a spot, but gives you, she like kind of offsets an Iceman. That's interesting. I only mention him because he's like the only other Marvel Ice character that exists. Like I'm sure there's others, but he's the highest profile one. Yeah, like honestly, I can't think of another one. And I don't think power-wise she is anywhere near the power level of Iceman because he is an Omega level mutant, but she's important enough that when Cinder decided she was going to take over Korea, she was like, we have to kidnap Luna Snow and put her in like a box because otherwise she's going to kill me. So, you know, she's kind of a big deal. Again, as always, thank you Padarna Tellish for helping me research this video. That's all I got. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time when we talk about Penny Parker, aka Spider.